What is going on, guys, and welcome to another episode of the VSPN Sports Podcast with your host, Jordan Van. It is a great time to be a sports fan. This weekend we had fights, we had football games, and we have that, for the next, 8 more weeks or so. That's rough math off the top of the head, so don't quote me on that. But yeah, let's start with last night's game. Monday Night Football. You have the Giants versus the Buccaneers. You got Brady. You got Daniel Jones. Giants with no Saquon Barkley. And if you're a Giants fan, I feel very, very sorry for you. This franchise is just. It's so bad right now, and there's just no upside anytime soon. There's nothing to look forward to for them right now. But the biggest thing for the Giants is you haven't found your franchise quarterback yet. You have not identified your franchise quarterback yet, because Daniel Jones is not the answer. This dude is complete garbage. He is so trash. Just inaccurate. Terrible decision making last night. He just played god awful. There were so many opportunities for them to win that game last night against Tampa, and they just couldn't capitalize. And mostly because of him. He's just a very inconsistent quarterback, and he's just not he's not the answer. If you're a Giants fan, I don't think any Giants fan right now is comfortable with saying that Daniel Jones is their franchise quarterback. So what do? Do you spend another draft pick this year and try to go after, I doubt you'll get Trevor Lawrence because I'm sure the Jets will lock that first pick up and they'll probably go Lawrence, at least logically that's what you would assume, although they're a pretty terrible franchise as well. Do you go Justin Fields? The problem is you just wasted a first round 6th pick in the draft 2 years ago, 3 years ago, something like I think it's 2 years ago, on this guy, and it doesn't work out. So I mean, what do you do? Do you go? Do you give him some more time to develop and try to supply him with other pieces and see if that changes things? I don't know if it does. I don't know if it does at all. There's just nothing about Daniel Jones that sticks out to me that makes me believe that this guy could be a franchise quarterback. He's inaccurate, terrible decision making, and it just, I don't know. I don't see this guy changing anytime soon for the better. So if you're a Giants fan, you got to be disappointed. I mean, you finally get a star running back with Saquon Barkley. You thought you got a quarterback with Daniel Jones, and it just has not worked out. So I feel sorry for you Giants fans out there, the little bit that they probably have right now. Over the weekend, Sunday night, we had Dallas versus Philly. These were just two bad teams going at it. It was very hard to watch. It was very cringy to watch, to be honest with you. It was very sloppy football. Both teams were just horrible. If you're Jerry Jones, you're going to have to pay Dak Prescott, man, because his stock is definitely up right now. I know they were losing before he went down. I don't think that was all his fault. I think that's a lot on the coaching, not having these guys ready to play when they come out, But it's clear Dak is your franchise quarterback. They need to go out and make that signing happen over the offseason, because if you don't, this is going to continue. This team is so bad. They're banged up on the offensive line. They only have like two of their starters. One of their starters left maybe from their original offensive line, and they just, I don't know, they just look like a bad football team right now, and they shouldn't, because there is a lot of talent on that team. Not so much on the defensive end, especially that secondary is pretty bad, but there's no reason why this offense shouldn't be able to get going. There's just way too much talent with Zeke, Gallup, Amari Cooper, and the little rookie that they drafted, CeeDee Lamb. There's just no excuses. So if you're Jerry Jones, you have to go out and make that contract work. You're gonna have to overpay a little, because that's the way the free agents, that's the way the market works now. It's not always about necessarily, he shouldn't be getting paid as much as Deshaun Watson or some of these other quarterbacks in the league. But that's not how it works. It's based off of it's clear you've identified your franchise quarterback with him. Franchise quarterbacks on the market are going to make more money than what they normally deserve. That's just the name of the game. So if you're Jerry, what are you waiting on? You have to go out and sign this guy. You have to go and re-sign him to a long-term contract, because if you don't, you will live to regret it. As long as you live. I don't know how much longer Jerry Jones got, to be honest with you. We also had the Saints versus the Bears. My Saints taking on the Chicago Bears. No Mike T, no Emmanuel Sanders in this one. And I said before last week, I wasn't too comfortable with our matchup against them if we were going to be missing one or the other. We're missing both. But we still found a way to win. And we keep finding a way to win. And there's something to love about that. But it's like we're winning, but I don't see the spark that we had over the last few years. It's just there's something missing to it. And maybe it's because we've been a little banged up at the receiver position. With no Mike T, and Emmanuel Sanders has been in and out. So maybe that changes when Thomas comes back, if he comes back. I mean, it's like every week they say he's going to return, and then he doesn't. So it's like, I don't know. We'll see, I guess. If you're a Saints fan, I guess there is a little optimism with that. If Mike T comes back and you have Sanders to kind of take the top off the defense, and they can't just solely focus on Mike, maybe this offense gets it going a little better. But I don't know. I am impressed with them winning, even without our best weapon. But it's just there's something missing, and I just don't see us being a real Super Bowl contender, even though we will make the playoffs and we might make it interesting. We're always gonna make it interesting whenever we have a Drew Brees and a Sean Payton duo. They're always gonna make it a little interesting, but I don't see them making a legitimate playoff run and possible Super Bowl. I hope I'm wrong. I really do, because I'm a Saints fan. And as a Saints fan, I want my team to be the best, but I'm also realistic, and there's just something missing about this team. Hopefully, it's just, we need Mike T and Emmanuel Sanders. They did make a trade over the weekend for Quan Alexander from the 49ers. I do like that trade. That's going to add us another piece at that linebacker position. And that I think that can help solidify that defense a little more. It'll be interesting to see how he adjusts to playing under our system. He has some injury issues, so we'll see if he can stay healthy and see if he can make a difference. We also had the Steelers versus the Ravens. Just two complete heavyweights, man. Just going at it, division game. These teams know each other so well, and it showed. I think Pittsburgh is clearly the better team, but you just never know whenever you have two teams that are in the same division, both good, both have really good coaching. You never know. So that's why I thought the Ravens could steal one from Pittsburgh this week, but I was wrong. The Steelers were able to pull this one out. Lamar Jackson struggled in this one, and he's been having some struggles this year. Coming out of the draft, I wasn't very high on him. And he made me eat those words within his first two years, especially last year winning the MVP. Made me kind of eat my words on my prediction for him. But this year is kind of more along the lines of what I expected him to be like in the NFL. Probably still playing a little better than what I expected him to, but this is probably about the level closer to the level that I expected him to play. Last year, he was really making me look bad with that unbelievable MVP season that he had. But it seems as though this year, teams are kind of starting to figure him out. And so, if you're a Ravens fan, that's something to look forward to. Not look forward to be concerned about. And then you also had Hollywood Brown coming out. He since deleted it now, but he basically came out and said, what's the point of having soldiers if you're not going to use them? So what exactly does that, mean? He since deleted it, but it seems like there's probably a little confliction going on in that locker room right now. But I wouldn't be too concerned about it, I guess. Again, they're such a well-coached team with John Harbaugh, and that defense is legit, and they are one of the better running teams in the league. The problem is when you play against some of these defenses, like a Pittsburgh, where their run defense is ridiculous, and their defense overall is loaded. You're gonna run into problems, and the main problem that it seems to be with Lamar is he seems to be comfortable playing ahead. He seems to be comfortable playing ahead, but whenever they are down, by a couple possessions, a couple scores, it seems like he's not capable on a consistent basis to pass you back into the game. He's just that's not his forte. That's not the kind of quarterback that he is. He's more of a quarterback that can play from with the lead, and with the running and ability, and mixed in with the passing, can keep teams off the field, and just let that defense go to work. But that's why in the playoffs it seems like he struggles, because get to the playoffs, you're going against the best of the best. These teams are going to score points in the playoffs. And again, once he gets down, it just doesn't seem like he's capable of throwing them back into the game and throwing them, throwing it well enough to where they can come back and win the game. So, but we'll see. The Steelers, though, man, they have been very impressive this year. I'm not a Steelers hater. Not in my top 5 of favorite teams, but I've never really hated the Steelers. Got a couple friends on Facebook that we like to kind of jaw back and forth with each other about them, but overall I don't dislike them. So if they were to go win the Super Bowl, hey, that'd be fine. I don't know if they will. I do think they're probably the overall best team in the league. In my opinion, it's close, but overall, probably the best team in the league. I don't know if I favor them over Kansas City. And the reason being is, the Steelers are a more balanced and probably overall better team. I just think when you have a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes and a playmaker like Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce and Clyde, and a defense that, yeah, they're not like, shutting people down, but they get turnovers. They capitalize on those turnovers. That can make up for the imbalance that they have as far as when you stack them up against Pittsburgh. But those are my two favorites for sure to come out of the AFC. NFC, it's looking like the Seahawks, it seems to be the favorite, but I mean that defense is so suspect. I don't know how that's gonna work in when it comes to playoffs, when everything starts to kind of be at a higher level on a consistent basis. I don't know if that defense is going to be able to keep up when it comes to playoff time. That offense can keep up with anybody, though. They probably have the best offense in the league. Them and the Chiefs would be a strong argument. And of course, Russ is playing lights out right now. Him and Mahomes most likely the two front runners for the MVP award. I hope Russ actually gets that because I think he just deserves it. So we'll see, as far as that goes. And also in the NFC, again, you got the Seahawks. It's going to be interesting to see how Tampa looks whenever they get Antonio Brown back, which they will be getting him back this week against my Saints. So I'm not looking forward to that. But those four teams probably seem to be the front runners as of right now in the mid part of the season. Just not sold on Green Bay. Their run defense is so bad. And I think they still need another receiver to go alongside. What's his name? I can't even Devontae Adams. They need somebody on the side of him because when it comes to playoff time, they're gonna double him and they're gonna try to eliminate him from the game and try to contain Aaron Jones and force Aaron Rodgers to go somewhere else. And there's nobody on that team that kind of steps up consistently for them. So they don't really scare anybody to me. You never know with Aaron Rodgers. He seems to be able to make things happen sometimes, but I don't feel comfortable picking them for the NFC. And I've already said I'm not high on my Saints. Again, hope they prove me wrong, but I don't see us making a run either. So yeah, those are your four: Pittsburgh, KC, Seattle, Tampa. Those are my four picks to make it to the championships. And when it gets to that time, then we'll decide who we're gonna pick for the Super Bowl and Super Bowl winners and all that good shit. In other news, last week we talked about OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr. He's gonna be out for the season now with a torn ACL. We'll see how he comes back from that because that doctors are getting better at these ACL injuries and all that, but you can't expect him to come back the exact same from that. That's just one of the worst injuries you could have, especially for a receiver who relies so much on his explosiveness. And it also came out this week that the Browns are not expected to re-sign him. So where does he go in the offseason? My guess, I could see the Patriots, trying to make a move for him. The Raiders, maybe. Green Bay would be the team that probably should be fighting the hardest to go get him. If you're trying to get Aaron Rodgers another ring, but they seem to not like to go after big free agents or anything. So I doubt that happens. So what do you guys think he lands I'd be interested to know. You could leave me your guess in the comment section, and that I'd be interested to know where you guys think he's going to end up. If I'm him, I'm going to Green Bay, and if I'm Green Bay, I'm going after him. Imagine him alongside Devontae Adams. That's gonna be a very great duo. So we'll see what happens with that. We also had Tua Tagovailoa, or how the fuck you say his last name. He made his start this week. Not impressed. Not impressed at all. I think the very first play of the game, he fumbles. Old Aaron Donald got to him. He did have an interception. Didn't even pass for 100 yards in the game. Just kind of was taking what the defense was giving him. I never really pushed the ball downfield. It's his first game, so it's hard to read too much into it. There's probably a lot of nerves. Going up against a Rams defense that is pretty legit this year. Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald, and a bunch of other really good players on that defense. So probably not the ideal start that you want to have if you're a Dolphins fan with Tua. But again, it's hard to just read too much into that. So we'll see. But they found a way to win. And that's, at the end of the day, that's what's important. They did find a way to win, mainly because of their defense. Their defense kept them in that game, made some plays. Jared Goff looked awful. Another quarterback that I'm just not really all that high on is Jared Goff. I just don't see it with him consistently. He has his moments, but on a consistent basis, I don't like him either. The Dolphins, man, they're a legitimate team for that division. Them and the Bills, it looks like is going to fight it out for there. I probably prefer the Bills, especially now since they've decided to go with Tua. And there's going to be some growing pains with that. I just think they're maybe a year or two away from being a real threat in the AFC. So we'll see what kind of moves they're able to make in the offseason. Why don't they go after OBJ? That'd be another interesting. Him and Devontae Parker would be a nice little duo, and Gaskin coming out the backfield. And if you really believe Tua is your franchise quarterback, that'd be another landing spot for Odell Beckham. But yeah, that's pretty much all the big things I kind of want to get into as far as this weekend's game. Some of the standout stuff that I thought would be interesting to talk about. We'll go ahead and get into Week 9's pick'em. Last week didn't do as well as I did the week before. This week, 8-6 with my picks. Not great. There were just some games that just I didn't see, I didn't see those results happening, and that's why we love the NFL, man. It's just there's no guarantees in the NFL. I mean, fuck the Chiefs Jets game. The Chiefs were struggling at first with the Jets, and the Jets seem like they're trying to lose, And I think the Chiefs are, the best team, has the highest chance of winning the Super Bowl this year. So you just never know on any given Sunday what team's gonna show up. These guys are all professionals. These guys are all capable of making plays and coming out with a win. That's why we love the NFL. You just never know. So we'll go ahead and get into this week's picks. Thursday Night Football, we have the Packers versus the 49ers. 49ers fans, it's been tough for you guys this year. I don't feel bad for you because I don't like the 49ers. Never did. So But again, if you're a 49ers fan, like, you gotta be so upset this year, man. They have had so many injuries, on both sides of the football. The biggest ones coming from this weekend. Jimmy Garoppolo expected to miss anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks now. And you have George Kittle, who's also expected to miss, I think, like 8 weeks. Not good if you're a 49ers fan. All your running backs are hurt. Just everything. I don't know. I've never seen a team be so decimated with injuries like the 49ers have been this year. If they were healthy, I would be picking them to beat the Packers because they just seem to have the Packers numbers. I still wouldn't be surprised if they're able to pull one off against the Packers because they're just a more physical team and the Packers are more finesse, and usually those finesse teams just struggle against those heavyweight teams like the 49ers. But I am going to take the Packers to go ahead and take the victory this week. Not often you see Rodgers with back-to-back losses, so I think he lights that 49ers defense up this week. We also have the Texans versus the Jaguars. I feel so bad for Deshaun Watson. They win. They traded away his best weapon with Hopkins, and that's just not something you do to your franchise quarterback, in my opinion. I just don't think they did him any favors. I thought maybe the Brandon Cooks signing would kind of help with that a little, but he hasn't been super consistent. There's a lot of rumors of trading the other little receiver. I can't remember his name right now, but yeah, that's we'll see. I feel bad for Deshaun Watson because I like him. I liked him coming out of the draft as well. But that franchise they're just a losing franchise. They don't know how to support a franchise quarterback, and I feel bad for Deshaun Watson. On the other side of it, though, the Jaguars, I don't know. I don't even know what to really think about them. They're not a great team either. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the Texans to find a way to win this week. We also have the Giants versus the Washington football team. Don't like anybody. I hate picking any game involving this division because they're just so fucking bad, and somebody has to win by default. Which is just I wish like if you were so bad like that they couldn't allow you into the playoffs just because of how bad your record is, even though you won your division by default. There's other teams that's going to be way more deserving, and we would get a way better product in the playoffs if one of those teams one of those no team from that division makes it, and they just put somebody else in there way more deserving. But I am going to take Washington to beat the Giants this week. We also have the Ravens versus the Colts. I think the Ravens find a way to bounce back this week. I think Lamar Jackson plays better this week and makes up for last week's performance. We have the Vikings versus the Lions. Vikings looked pretty impressive last week, especially Dalvin Cook. Thank you for my fantasy football team. He went the hell off last week for 4 touchdowns and over 200 total yards. Very impressed with him. The Lions are not a good football team either. Feel pretty bad for Matthew Stafford. Another franchise not really doing, their franchise quarterback any justice. So I'm going to take the Vikings to win that one. We have the Bears versus the Titans. This can go either way for me, but I don't like the Bears, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the Titans this week. We have the Chiefs versus the Panthers. Again, I've already told you guys I'm probably never going to really pick against the Chiefs. Christian McCaffrey will be making his return this week, I believe. That's what I read. But I don't think it's enough. I'm going to take the Chiefs to beat the Panthers. We have the Seahawks versus the Bills. Seahawks been very impressive. The Bills been pretty impressive. Well, they were impressive at the beginning of the season. They kind of, the last few weeks, have been kind of falling off. Josh Allen hasn't been playing the same level of football he was playing at the beginning of the year. So we'll see if he's able to turn that around. But I will take the Seahawks in there because, again, in Russ, I trust. Broncos versus the Falcons. The fucking Falcons, I don't even know what to make of this team. I can't pick a game right with them. Out of all the weeks so far, I don't think I've ever gotten their game right. Because every time I pick them, they lose. Every time I pick the other teams to beat them, the Falcons win. It's like I can't pick this team. So Broncos, Falcons. I guess I'm gonna take the Falcons. I don't even know what to make with that game because the Falcons they're another team that's just their offense is really good, defense is terrible, and they just somehow find a way to lose. But I will go ahead and I'll go ahead and take them this week, and if they do not get it right this week, I'm never picking them again. Mark my words on that one. We have the Raiders versus the Chargers. Another one that's kind of like a little toss-up division game. I really like Justin Herbert again. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Chargers to win that one. We have the Dolphins versus the Cardinals. I really love Kyler. So I'm going to go ahead and take him to beat old Tua with the Dolphins. We have the Steelers versus the Cowboys. Ooh, I can't wait to watch this game. Oh, man. I'm going to be, waving the terrible towel for this one. Oh, just the beat down that they're about to put on the Cowboys is just going to be so enjoyable to watch. Shout out to my boy Khalil. But y'all about to get whooped this week, so enjoy that. We have the Saints versus the Bucks. Again, Antonio Brown will be making his debut with the Bucks this year with against my Saints. Not looking forward to that, especially if Chris Godwin also plays this week. Just again, too much firepower on that offense. Tampa's defense has been playing better lately. Hopefully we do have Michael Thomas, and hopefully we do get Emmanuel Sanders back this week. But even if they are playing, I don't know if I necessarily like our odds against the Buccaneers with Antonio Brown making his debut. Then again, if there's a chance to beat the Buccaneers with all that firepower, catch them early. Before they get into a groove. Godwin's been in and out, and Brady. I mean, he had a little bit of playing time with Antonio Brown when he was on the Patriots, but different system. We'll see how fast Brown is able to adjust. We'll see. I don't like our odds, so I'm gonna take the Buccaneers. And then for Monday Night Football, we have the Patriots versus the Jets. Two bad teams, and that's not necessarily. Well, yeah, I guess it would be surprising to say about the Patriots, since I do think Bill Belichick is the greatest coach of all time. Again, you do have Cam Newton, you do have some talent, but they just haven't been able to do anything this year. But it does look like the Jets are trying to lose games this year, so I will take the Patriots to beat the Jets. And that is it for all this week's picks. We had some fights this weekend. We had Anderson Silva taking on Uriah Hall. This was supposed to be Anderson Silva's retirement fight. But is it really? let's get into it. This fight didn't start off very entertaining. The first 2 rounds were very lackluster. Got both guys not really throwing anything. It looked like they were just kind of really dancing out there, just hand fighting. It just wasn't very entertaining. Dana White was pretty pissed off about the way that fight started off. But in the 3rd round, it did pick up. Hall was able to drop Silva towards the end of that round. Silva was kind of saved by the bell. Looked like at that point, Uriah Hall smelled blood in the water and went in for the kill and was able to TKO Anderson Silva. And you just hate to see it because, Silva's another one of those guys that's in the conversation for the greatest of all time. And it just seems like the longer he hangs around, the more it's like it's hurting the GOAT conversation for him. He's already had a little thing with, USADA. He did fail a drug test. And now just sticking around and getting all these losses. I believe he's lost, in his last 9 fights, I looked it up yesterday. In his last 9 fights, he's had only 1 win, and he had a no contest. Other than that, losses. A lot of them very decisively. You just hate to see it. You just hope this is finally it. You hope that this is finally it because he comes out, he says this is his last fight in the UFC. And every time an analyst asks him a question, if this is going to be his last fight ever, he always refers to it being his last fight in the UFC. And that doesn't sound like a guy who's ready to hang it up yet. And again, it's only hurting him. I can't see the reasoning behind why he continues to fight. I'm sure he's made plenty of money. All you're doing right now is you're just hurting your legacy right now. And I just hope that he does decide to hang it up. I know for sure he's not fighting in the UFC. Dana White has made it very clear that he didn't even think he should have allowed him to fight in this fight against Uriah Hall. And he definitely will not allow him to fight again in the UFC. But these other promotions, like bare knuckle boxing and ONE FC, those other Bellator, those other promotions that, Anderson Silva's still a big name, so they might try to bait him in to come over there, throw a bunch of cash at him, just so they can market his name. And I just don't think he should. I think he's made plenty of money. I don't think he should fight anymore. And hopefully he doesn't. It's interesting. It's an interesting conversation with Anderson because during his reign, 16 title defenses in a row or something like that, 14, whatever it was. Dude, when he was in his prime, he looked like the greatest of all time. And I know last week we talked about the conversation between John. We talked about Khabib. We talked about George St. Pierre. At one point in time, Anderson Silva was in that conversation as well. A lot of people who are just now becoming UFC fans probably won't remember Anderson Silva back in the day. Front kicking Vitor Belfort. That last second triangle choke he put on Chael Sonnen after getting his ass whooped the entirety of that fight. And just what he did to Chris Lieb and what he did to Rich Franklin to win the belt. Like the things this guy was doing, he was the first with that kind of flashy style of knocking guys out. I mean, this dude looked like he was in the Matrix, just bobbing and weaving, dodging everything, just getting right at the end of everybody's punches and kicks, and it just looked like this dude was just on a whole different planet than everybody else, and of course with age, you start to lose that ability to react and as quick and stuff like that, and that's why these fights that he's losing, tallying up on his record, it's hurting his GOAT conversation because, again, at one point in time, this dude was considered the GOAT. I probably have him probably top 5 still, because I'm always gonna remember like what he once was. So if I had to give my GOAT ranking right now, I'm still putting John number 1. I'd put Khabib number 2, GSP number 3. Silva is probably in that 4th spot right there. So I'll be interested to know what you guys where you guys rank them. Let me know in the comments if you want. We also had some other fights. We had Bryson Mitchell versus Andre Philly. I love Bryce Mitchell. I think he's a superstar in the making if they develop him correctly. If they slow build him, do not rush him, please. He's got a lot of potential, but still some things that he needs to work on, especially in the striking department. Because when he's going to face a guy that's going to give him problems in the grappling department and not allow him to just take him down consistently, I don't know if his striking will allow him to be a contender in this division, because he was able to get the win this week against Andre Philly, but it was a grind. And that first round, it looked like he was just having his way with Andre Philly. That second round, he struggled a bit getting Philly to the ground. And when that happened, Philly was just tearing him up on the feet. And then it looked like in the third round he was able to establish the takedowns again and just kind of control him and just kind of grind out the win. But I mean, can you see him beating Alexander Volkanovski or anybody like that? No, he's not. Can you see him continue with Max Holloway or any of those other guys who's going to stuff those takedowns and give him some problems? He's just, the striking is not there. But you do have a star as far as like personality and just marketing and stuff like that. You have a star on the rise if you build him correctly. He's one of these guys they need to take their time with, give him the right matchups, and let him develop his game a little more before he takes on some of those tougher matchups. But who's next? I mean, I like maybe him versus Dan Ige. That'd be a fun one. Edson Barboza. Thing with Barboza would be, again, can he get the takedown? Barboza will light him up on the feet, but can he get Barboza to the ground? Barboza does have a bit of a good wrestling defense. Didn't look like it against Khabib, but that's what Khabib does to everybody. So that would be an interesting matchup. Can he get Edson Barboza to the ground and dominate him there? That'd be another interesting fight for him. Somebody in the top 15 for sure. Now, because I think Bryce Mitchell is ranked 15 at this moment. So Dan Ige and Edson Barboza would probably be where I would probably line him up with next. We also had Greg Hardy fighting this weekend. Greg Hardy, second round TKO over Maurice Green. Another one that you have a star in your hands with Greg Hardy. Anytime we have somebody that transitions from one sport to another sport, usually you that guy carries some of the fans and the momentum that he had with the other sport into this sport. And so the thing with Greg Hardy is the knockout. He can knock out anybody, I believe. He has an issue with his cardio. Probably needs to lose some weight. He had to. He almost missed the weight. He actually missed weight the first time he weighed in for this fight. Had to come back again a second time to to, make weight, which is crazy for a heavyweight. I understand he was dealing with some outside issues, but you just there's no reason why this guy should have to cut weight to make heavyweight. So he probably needs to lean up a little bit, work on that cardio a little. But ultimately, he was able to get the second round TKO over Maurice Green. Called it. So what's next for Greg Hardy? Maybe he needs to take on somebody in the top 15, but somebody with a name, but a favorable matchup. And in my opinion, I would like to see him probably against Walt Harris. That's a big name. Another guy who kind of struggles with cardio as well. Is going to stand and trade with you. Also has some knockout power as well. That'd be a very interesting fight to watch. So we'll see. We also had Kevin Holland this weekend. Wins by a verbal tap over Charlie Ontiveros. So this Charlie Ontiveros was a late replacement fight for Holland. He was actually making his UFC debut. The guy looked kind of impressive on the feet, but clearly his ground game is not there. His grappling is not there. Every time Kevin Holland got a hold of him and went for a slam, he just body slammed. It looked like a WWE match. Looked like Charlie was taking a bump in the WWE the way he was getting slammed. Then after Kevin Holland grabs him, slams him, and then there was a lot of confusion there because the fight was stopped, but we didn't see a tap. We didn't see anything that looked like a reason for the fight to be stopped. We find out later on that he verbally tapped because of whenever he got slammed, there was something with his neck, so he hollered to the ref, my neck. And then the ref stopped it. He ended up having to be stretchered out. UFC was taking all the necessary precautions to, you never know when it comes to a neck injury how serious it is. So they took every precaution. But it looks as though it wasn't as serious as it looked at the time. So very impressed with Kevin Holland, though. This guy has been pretty much the MVP of this Corona pandemic. He's on a 4-fight win streak in the year 2020. So congrats to him. I was talking some mad shit to Israel Adesanya after the fight. Chill out, young buck. You're not ready. You do not want that smoke. We also had Bobby Green losing a very close fight to Thiago Moses. I like Bobby Green. Always entertaining to watch. But there seems to be like a discipline factor with him. Fights with his hands down a lot. And the only path to victory I really saw for Thiago Moises was if it went to the ground. You favor Moises in that department. And Green looked like he kept there was one point he actually took Moses down, and then towards the end of the fight, like kind of got into a little grappling exchange with him, and allowed Moses to get his back and kind of do some work and control him towards the end of that third round, and that probably ultimately is what ended up getting Moses the victory over Green. So there's a little bit of a discipline thing there. He just needs to kind of find himself, I guess. But always an entertaining fight when Bobby Green is on the card. I really enjoy watching him fight. So we'll see what happens with him. I had all my picks right except for Green versus Moises this week. So got all my picks right last week and only had one wrong this week. So congratulations to me. Didn't put any money down, so what does it even matter? We had some news announced over the weekend as far as Adesanya is concerned, and Jan Blachowicz. Thought this was going to be John Jones and Adesanya being announced the way Izzy was kind of talking after the fight. You could tell he wasn't sure if he can announce it for sure what was next before Dana White announced it. But Dana White ended up clarifying. And before I said that, the way Adesanya was talking, it just sounded like he was talking more like as if it was going to be John. But Dana White comes in later and clarifies that it's going to be Jan Blachowicz. And much like I talked about last week, I don't see any way Jan Blachowicz wins this fight. Izzy is going to piece him the fuck up. Izzy's just way too fast. I just don't see it. Jan is more traditional like boxer kind of style, like heavy-handed. So if he's able to clip Izzy, it could be problems. But overall, Izzy is clearly the better fighter. So the thing about this is it's starting to look more and more like we're not going to get this John Jones fight, because where would it happen at? John is focused on going heavyweight. He wants to go and fight the winner of Stipe versus Francis. But that fight's not going to happen until late 2021. So what does John do? If Izzy beats Jan Blachowicz, does he decide, okay, you know what? Screw this heavyweight thing. I'll come back to this later. Let me go back to 205 and go fight Adesanya. That's going to be interesting to see. Because otherwise, I don't know where he fits in. Because if he waits around for the winner of Francis and Stipe, you're looking at, he probably wouldn't get that fight until December of next year. So it'll be interesting to see, because I do know John's been trying to put on some size in order to go to heavyweight. So does he abandon that and try to lean back up and go and take on Izzy if Izzy's able to beat Jan? That remains to be seen. So that's something to kind of keep an eye out for. If I'm John, that's what I'm doing, because that's going to be the biggest fight the UFC could put on right now, to me, in my opinion. That I think Izzy versus John Jones is the fight to make right now. I think that's the biggest possible fight they could put on. So hopefully Izzy gets by Jan, and I'm picking Izzy heavily here, but it's still not out the realm of possibility for Jan to catch him. And if that happens, you can probably kiss this John Jones Adesanya fight goodbye. That's not happening if Jan does beat Izzy. Because if he doesn't beat Jan, I don't see any way he can contend with John Jones. We also have to get into this. Dana White was asked at the presser about about Khabib, because he still hasn't vacated the belt yet. And that's interesting, because apparently the Poirier-Conor fight is completely signed and done, but they haven't announced that as a title fight yet. It appears as though they're giving Khabib a little more time to sit on this decision. I don't know. I don't see Khabib changing his mind. I know his father wanted him to go 30-0, but does he really come out and of retirement to fight maybe a Conor rematch? I don't think he wants that. He's already beaten Dustin. He's already beaten Gaethje. He doesn't really have anything really left to prove as far as those guys. I think the only thing that would really probably get him out of bed would be a fight with Georges St-Pierre. But the thing with that is, if that fight's going to happen, Georges St-Pierre's made it very clear that he is not fighting at 155. It's too hard of a weight cut. It would hinder his performance, and he wouldn't take it at 155. It would have to be at a catch weight 165. And if that's the case, if that's what you're gonna grant Khabib is that GSP fight, then the belt doesn't matter. You know that. So why not vacate and put that Conor versus Poirier fight for the belt? That's just my opinion. It'll be interesting to see what they decide to do if they're able to convince Khabib to come out of retirement. The way Dana was talking was that Khabib was probably just a little emotional after the fight. You know, everything leading up to it. His mom not wanting to fight, and you know he had some injuries going in, and just a lot of emotion he was dealing with, and he probably made a bit of a rash decision. So I don't know. We'll see. I would like to see Khabib fight one more time. I'd like for him to do that GSP fight though at 165. That would be interesting, and that's another fight that the UFC could put on that would be massive. Especially if they do it in like Abu Dhabi or if they do it in Canada for GSP. That would be pretty awesome to see. We also have the Ultimate Fighter returning in 2021. That was announced this weekend. I believe it was supposed to be it's going to be bantamweights and middleweights from what I understand. And they're having tryouts right now. Coaches haven't been announced yet. But I think they said for March or May maybe for next year. So I'm excited about that. It's been a minute since we had one. I think the last one was Gastelum and Whitaker, and it didn't do very well. But it'd be interesting to see who they decide to go with as coaches. Again, it's supposed to be bantamweight and middleweights. So we'll see about that. We also have a fight night coming up this weekend. Thiago Santos versus Glover Teixeira. What's interesting about this fight is originally, before the Jan Blachowicz and Adesanya fight was announced, this fight had all the indications of being a number one contender fight. Winner of this probably gets a shot at Jan. With Izzy taking on Jan, if Izzy were to beat Jan, what's going to happen for the winner of Santos and Teixeira? Because if Izzy beats Jan, it's very likely that John Jones would come back to take on Izzy. Meaning, all these other guys at light heavyweight is going to be kind of stuck. And if you're Teixeira, time is money right now because he is getting a little older. I think he's like 41 or 42. Getting a little older, but is on a 4-fight winning streak. Has looked really impressive lately. What he did to Lionheart a while back was just really hard to watch. Knocked the guy's freaking teeth out. He's been on a bit of a roll lately. Last time we saw Santos was against John Jones at the beginning of 2019, where he had both of his knees completely destroyed in that fight. Very close fights. It was a split decision. Ultimately, they did give it to John Jones. Wouldn't argue it the other way. It wouldn't be opposed to it if you had it the other way. And if you're Santos, you're thinking, man, if I could just beat Teixeira and I can get a shot at Jan Blachowicz, I've already beaten this guy. They fought not long ago, I think in 2019 as well. So if you're Santos, you might be a little upset that if I get through Teixeira, I might still have to end up taking another fight before I get that shot at that light heavyweight belt again. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. Is this fight going to really mean anything as far as contender? That remains to be seen. I am going to take Thiago Santos to win this week over Glover Teixeira, though. We have Andre Arlovski taking on Tanner Boser. Andre Arlovski is like 100 freaking years old. This dude's been fighting since I can ever remember. I don't know how they continue to let this dude continue fighting. But they do, and I don't get it. I don't see him winning this fight. I'm gonna take Tanner Boser to win either first round, no later than second round, TKO or knockout. We also have Rayoni Barcelos versus Khalid Taha. This one's for the diehard fans. Because I'm not even too familiar with these guys. But I'm just going to go ahead and take a guess here. And I'm going to say Rani Barcelos to win this one. Don't know these guys too well, to be honest with you. So my bad on that one. And we got Ian, I don't know how to say this guy's last name either. Heinisch versus Brendan Allen. I love Brendan Allen. So I'm going to go ahead and take him. And we have Claudia Gadelha versus Jan Zion. I don't know how to say her last name either. A lot of people on this card, I don't know how to say her last name. I'm sorry. But I am going to take Jan to win this one. Tough matchup for Claudia. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Jan. And that's going to be it for this one, guys. Again, we got some fights this weekend. We got some football. Just a great overall time to be a sports fan. Tune in next week. Try to record again on Monday. I know today I've been trying to get them out on Mondays, but we had a little bit of an issue yesterday, so that's why I'm recording it today. Today's Tuesday, by the way. So we'll try to get another episode in for next Monday. So stay tuned for that. If you like it, hit that like button, subscribe, share, comment, hit that bell so you never miss a video. And I think that's going to be it, guys. I am out.